I wanted to start with Man United, and I have a question for you on their win at the weekend. Do you feel Bruno's late 90th minute goal is essentially papering over cracks? Is it delaying the inevitable, or do you believe this could be the start of what Ten Hag is calling a resurgence this season?
Both teams were shambles. Man United was shambolic that game. I was watching the game and I was taking notes, and I'm like, what is going on here? Bruno Fernandes, individual brilliance. He provided the moment, which was expected, and we spoke about this 50,000 times, that the guy can provide these moments. He has these moments in him, but during the game, it wasn't great. It didn't look great. Your back line plus McTominay in the middle can't play football the level that Ten Hag wants, or every Man United fan is looking at this team. Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, Dalo Wan-Bissaka, and McTominay, that's half your team. You cannot play football with that team. I'm sorry. That's just delaying the inevitable. I still thought that the players were trying, but not trying hard enough. Garnacho was trying his best, but again, this team is not good enough. And I think this is a win that was just delaying the inevitable. As you said, it didn't look good. Like, anyone that doesn't have an agenda would look at this team and think, yeah, you're still not great. You're not good, Erik ten Hag. You still didn't put out the good team. Amrabat was on the bench. Yeah, Christian Eriksen played well. But that's not the future, though. You're papering over the cracks. So this Man United team, I did a show after, and I'm like, you're still terrible. You won against Fulham, who were absolutely shambolic, by the way. By the way, Fulham were terrible this game. I don't think he survives. I think 16th of December is it. That's it. The Liverpool game. This is it. Like, there is nothing that is going his way. Yeah, this goal went his way. 3 points. I actually thought that away from home, you might win this game against Fulham. But it didn't look good. I think everybody at the club now, I think this is a machine, Terry, that is not working together. You know, when you work for a company and you do very well, and then you go for a different company, but it's not working. You try so hard, but it's not working. It's not because the players are bad. This notion that people keep saying that Man United players are terrible, you're wrong. Bruno Fernandes isn't a terrible player. He's still a good player. He's playing in the wrong position. He's trying so hard. Marcus Rashford isn't a terrible player. Yeah, people say he's a patchy player. He isn't that bad. You can get something out of him. Look at Anthony, for example. I called out Anthony from last season. There is a reason why Manchester United went to the Eredivisie and paid that money, right? It was not for nothing. The guy was playing well for Ajax for 2 seasons, right? Manchester United aren't going to Manchester City and buy their winger. You're going to go to the Eredivisie. You're going to go to Serie A. You're going to go to the French League and buy their good wingers, the wingers that shine. Anthony was shining. I actually think that Man United at the moment, it's Ten Hag plus this group of players. It's not working together. You might get a new manager and it might work. This is just delaying the inevitable. And I feel like that Copenhagen game on Wednesday might not be great. Might not be great. It might turn ugly. And I didn't feel that it was a good game. It was like, yeah, we're back. I know some Man United fans, and I'm sorry to call them out. They get into their echo chambers, you know what I mean? Like, you think nobody's watching them, and they get together, and they're like, we're back, by the way. Yeah, it's a start of something. You have to open your eyes and see what is happening. You know what is going on. They get together, and we're back. We're back.
We've all done it at times, called out what other Man United fans have said, and I do it, but I do it from very much a case of I just don't agree with your opinion, and this is why. The kind of the fighting amongst Man United fans has been so interesting these last few weeks. We won at the weekend, and everyone that doesn't think the manager should be sacked, everyone who rates Maguire, everyone who rates Bruno, just suddenly told you were all wrong for the criticism, told you were all wrong to doubt us. And I'm in a mixed place because I love Bruno Fernandes, but that goal was great. It was a captain's goal. I'm really happy it went in, but that doesn't paper over the fact that he has been awful. Maguire, yeah, look, he's been okay in recent games, but it doesn't undo the 18 months of horrendous performances from him. And the manager, I stand by what I felt before the game, that I don't understand what he's doing at Man United in the sense of what we know, how we know he can get a team to play. He has told us, and people keep telling me I'm misquoting him. And I've gone back and read the quotes 4, 5, 6 times. And I'm like, no, I'm paraphrasing now, but he said, you'll never see the Ajax way. I'm bringing some of that, but I've got to mix it in with the Man United DNA. And we're 18 months in, and I'm looking at it and thinking, well, ain't good enough. You've brought 14 players in. It should be looking better than it is. We should look more dangerous. And this is the little things. It's not even about the style per se, in possession, lack of shape, poor defensive line, easy to play through. Always, it feels like we lose those second balls in those fights. So yeah, for me, I feel like it's papered over cracks. I heard him speak last night, Ten Hag as well, and he gave a speech. He got an award for winning the Carabao Cup, like a northern sector of like a managed like an LMA type thing. I'm not too sure what it was. Got an award, and he spoke about how they're going to progress from here. But listening to him talk, he doesn't sound like the same man we employed 18 months ago. Now, I understand that the English is not his first language, and I've always got a tremendous respect for people that speak multiple languages because I can barely speak English. But listening to him talk, you could tell it was ramblings, almost like he doesn't believe what he's saying. So, yeah, let's.
Let me give you an example.
It says, Terry, you only love Bruno's numbers, nothing else. I mean, I do love the fact that he has been one of the most prolific midfielders for Man United ever in terms of the time and span that he's been here. So of course I love his goals and I love his assists, but that isn't the numbers that I loved about him. It was the amount of games he helped us win. And what I was hoping for is if over the last 3 to 4 years we had 6 players, just 6 in our first team in their relative positions performing at the level that Bruno was in that time, we'd have won more trophies. If you had a striker delivering at that rate, 2 defenders performing at that rate consistently, a central midfielder behind him performing at that consistency for 3 years, we'd have won more things. So yeah, I loved a lot of what Bruno did, but I feel that he has been a casualty of this failing system because since the beginning of last year, he started to fade away, but it's no surprise. Sorry, beginning of the Ollie season. Last year, I thought we had a good season. The team's fading again now, and he's part of that, and he makes his mistakes. But Bruno has got flaws. So you either play to his strengths or you don't play him. And that's the problem with Man United for a decade. We have too many. We did it to Pogba, the poor lad, all the time. He was never an out-and-out holding midfielder. But we very rarely played him in his best position. And when he went through periods in that best position, he's really good. But then, yeah, just that Man United are a mess for that. But sorry, you were going to say something, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, I always ask myself, when I watch every team in the Premier League, you ask yourself one question: what is Arsenal? What is Liverpool? What is Man United? And that reminds me of Thomas Tuchel. But Thomas Tuchel at the end won the Champions League with Chelsea. You remember that time? People said the one thing left for him was that striker when they got Lukaku from Inter for 105 million or 100 million. But at the end, if you watch that Tuchel part at Chelsea, he tightened the defense. They were relying on Havertz and Werner and Ziyech and you remember Pulisic to get the goals on counterattacks. If you look at this Man United this season, I'm not talking about last season, I'm talking about this season, and you ask yourself, what is Man United? I bet 99% of Man United fans wouldn't be able to answer that question. What is Man United? What am I going to watch today from Man United? Nobody knows. It's every game is different. People say injuries or not injuries. That's fine. De Zerbi plays sometimes different players. They play the same way. Emery sometimes different players play the same way. Right? Pep Guardiola, the same. Jurgen Klopp, the same. Right? Top managers, if we want to call Ten Hag a top manager, you have to have a footprint. Right? I'm not talking about style of play now. I'm talking about a footprint, patterns of play, places to stand on the pitch, a way to play football. It turns into a kick and run, an American way. And I'm sorry to say that. Like in high school here in America, sometimes because of the athleticism of the players and because they play American football, they kick and run. And that's what it is now for Man United. There's no style of play. And it's not sustainable. And it's going to look... Yeah, go ahead.
It's funny you say that. My big brother and my youngest brother are Leyton Orient fans. And they play in League One. So 2 divisions below the Premier League. And I've watched a few of their games this year because they actually have like a channel you can stream the games from, and they've watched games here and I've watched them. And of course the footballers are not as technically gifted as Premier League footballers, but they play football. The last time I was watching League One football, I've been to watch Leyton Orient a few times. It was kick and run or knock the ball long into the channels. That was how the lower levels played. Now at that level of football, they have build-up play. They are patient. They work it side to side. There are good triangles. They repeat the same play numerous times and have confidence in it. Man United don't play as good a football as teams in League One. Now, they have better technicians and they have better footballers, so therefore they would beat those sides. But in terms of the foundation and the base they're working from, it isn't as good. And a lot of Man United fans are living in cloud cuckoo land. But this is the maddest bit. Someone tweeted me the other day and said, "Oh, welcome to the Ten Hag out club." And I said, "Brother, I'm not with that mob either," because most of that mob have also got a deluded view that if we sack the manager, we suddenly become a better team. It's much deeper than that. It's not as easy as that. Equally, the people that say sacking the manager won't improve us, so that long term, therefore we should just keep him, I think are also wrong. I think both sides are equally as
100%.
they're too far on either side. There is more than just sacking the manager is needed, but this notion of keeping him or just sacking him and we're fixed. I listened to both arguments, and there's good points within each, but their conclusion is just too shallow as far as I'm concerned. There's so many more other avenues that need to be explored.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you got to look at it from a different perspective. From Man United fans, yes, you might not get the manager that will fix it today, right? But your stock keeps going down with this guy, right? And by the time a new manager comes in at the end of the season, the ship might have already sunk completely and there's no saving. Just get him out now. Get someone at least to steer the ship in the right places. You're not going to get to the land now, but you need someone to get some wins today, not tomorrow. You need someone to get wins today. People don't understand it, but we're not going to get better. I'm not asking you to get better. This is a company that is sinking now. You get a new CEO, you get a new manager, at least to steer it in the right place. Save what can be saved today so you can save the rest of it in the beginning of next season. Your season now might be gone.
Well, this
what are you going to play for? Europe?
I totally agree. This here says, Terry, when Bruno Fernandes does Hollywood passes which don't reach the players, is that down to him or the system? It's a really good question. So first of all, I can already see your disposition by saying Hollywood passes. Players like Bruno, Trent, KDB, who will, over a period of a season, attempt a lot of through balls and crosses into the box. They're not Hollywood balls. They are crosses and through balls. I think we use the phrase Hollywood ball to make it sound like they're spamming and like what they're not trying to do is be precise. Sometimes it'll be on Bruno Fernandes because he'll overhit a ball or underhit the ball, and that's when it's on him. However, there's been many a time where he's put a ball into the box. He did it twice against Fulham at the weekend. The first time it was well cleared by a defender, but McTominay should have made a near post run. If he does, he gets to the ball before the defender. The commentator didn't even pick up on it because McTominay was static. There's another one that he did that beat the defensive line and it bounced near the back post, but Garnacho hadn't made the run on the inside. So there's a combination of two things. The problem that happens with Bruno, and this is where I'll defend him, is that every time his passes don't come off, people say, "Oh, why did you do that?" They're not looking at it as a team sport and saying, "Well, should a run have been made by a player?" Sometimes it's his fault. Sometimes it's down to the system, team, or a player not doing their job, and you have to be consistent in that. But again, I would expect, because you're calling them Hollywood passes, you blame Bruno. But for me, I think you've got to be more balanced than that. David here says, do we think Ten Hag doesn't teach this, or are the players not adhering to their instructions?
I think it's just a machine that is not working together, my friend David. Listen, sometimes the players just don't respond to a certain manager. It happens all the time. Emery at Arsenal, it didn't work for him at Arsenal. He's a good manager. It's just sometimes the players have bigger egos. It's just a machine that is not working together. You want to tell me that Rashford, one of the brightest talents that Man United youth teams that grew with Man United, is not a talented player, is not a good professional footballer? You want to tell me that Bruno is a bad player? He might not be to the level of Kevin De Bruyne. He might not be to the level of Riyad Mahrez, right? But they're not bad players. They're not league. I'm sorry, with all due respect, they're not League One players. It's just a machine that is not working together. You have to understand that.
There's a great chat in here that I'm going to put up in a minute, which explains this perfectly. Man United are a club who I think most fans, or a percentage of Man United fans, most rivals, and the media would say are in a crisis right now. Would you agree?
100%. You are, based on the level of your club, you're in a crisis.
Yep, so we're in a crisis. But we're only 6 points behind Arsenal, who are considered title contenders, and only 6 points behind Liverpool, who are also perceived by many, and we're going to get onto them later, as title contenders. Now, the point I'm making is we can be in a crisis and still only be a couple of wins behind teams that are looked at as one of the best in the league, and in some cases, the best in Europe. That's because we do have lots of quality players who have had moments in games to win us things. And I agree with you. I just think the way in which the club want Ten Hag to play football, I just don't think he can coach. And I mean that in the sense of coaches are different nowadays. Football is far more robotic than it used to be. Whether you like that or hate that is another debate. It doesn't need to be had today. And managers have a way of playing. I think Pep has one way of playing with some adaptations to it. Klopp has a style. Postecoglou has a style. Every manager has a way they want to play. I think gone are the days where you can say, right, for this season, we're going to be pragmatic, and the next season, we're going to be attacking. The season after, we're going to be this, we're going to be that, where these managers can chop and change it. Players are less versatile and managers are less versatile. So when you hire someone like a Ten Hag, you need the style of football to be almost identical to what they've been famed with. I think that, for me, is where the problem lies.